My name is Peter Gunther. I'm 58, a former corporate attorney, youngest son in a family that choose the quiet ones first. I married into a lineage of sharks, and instead of biting back, I smiled through clenched teeth, kept the wine flowing, toasted their victories, swallowed their insults. Keeping the peace always felt like dignity, until I found out they were preparing to bury me with it. The ballroom at Grand Haven Estate reeked of old money and new deceit. Candlelight flickered off polished silver. Someone was playing Coltrane too loud. The bride was radiant. My son beamed. I should have been happy. But Maggie hadn't looked me in the eyes all night. She kept checking her phone, laughing a little too hard at Lydia's jokes. I caught a flash of red under the table. Her shoes. New. Designer. Not what we bought together. Not what I paid for. I adjusted my cufflink. My hands trembled, but no one noticed. They never do. "Raise your glasses," the MC called. I stood for the toast. Maggie stood too. She tapped her crystal flute with a ring I didn't recognize. Silver band, black diamond. My gut coiled. The room stilled. And then she said it. "This marriage is over." 4 words, like bullets into my spine. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, just handed me a thick white envelope. "Consider this your formal notification, Peter. You're dismissed." Lydia Braddock, her so-called colleague, smirked like she'd won the Powerball. The envelope was heavy. Too heavy. I didn't open it. Not yet. Every camera phone was up. Someone gasped. The bride started crying. My son turned to me, confusion written across his face. I stepped forward. My lips parted. "Maggie." She held up a finger. "Don't. You already signed." My blood ran cold. "I didn't sign anything." She leaned in, whispered, soft but sharp. "You did. Cape Cod. You were drunk. Or did you think that NDA just wrote itself?" The orchestra had stopped. The room was dead quiet. I opened the envelope. My own signature stared back at me. Sloppy, but real. At the bottom of a document labeled Irrevocable Marital Asset Transfer and Confidentiality Agreement. Bullshit. My heart pounded. My name was on page 2. So was the clause. Any attempt to contest will result in forfeiture of spousal protections, event access, and immediate removal from legal estate. They weren't just divorcing me. They were cutting me out of my own son's wedding. "I never signed this." "You don't remember signing it," she corrected, which is worse. Behind me, a waiter placed a glass of champagne on the table, along with a thumb drive. No note, just a glance. Almost apologetic. I grabbed it. Maggie didn't notice. Lydia lifted her glass. "To freedom." The room drank in confusion. My hands were shaking. I pocketed the drive and stepped away from the table. The hallway outside was empty, cold, too quiet. I found the nearest side room and slammed the door. Laptop plugged in the drive. The file was called fallout.move. 1 click, static, then a blurred image. Me, apparently walking into a hotel room with a woman. Time-stamped, Cape Cod, 6 months ago. Problem was, I wasn't in Cape Cod 6 months ago. I was in Cleveland, with my son. I had receipts. But that image... My mouth went dry. A whisper in the back of my head. They forged it. But they needed you to believe it. Footsteps outside the door. Fast. I unplugged the drive. Then, knock. Sharp. 3 times. I opened the door a crack. Elliot Shaw. Gray suit. Neatly knotted tie. Eyes like thunderclouds. "You're being erased," he said. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. This was an execution. "You signed that, Peter." Maggie's voice still rang in my ears. "Or did you forget what happened in Cape Cod?" The door slammed behind me. Dark wood panels, a single lamp, the low buzz of a broken bulb. I shoved the chair under the knob. No lock, no time. Laptop open, hands shaking. Flash drive in. Fallout, move. Click. A woman. Red lips. My face beside hers. Dim light. Timestamp, May 3rd, 11:14 p.m. Cape Cod. I've never set foot in Cape Cod. Her hand slides across my chest in the video. I blink. Zoom in. The jawline isn't mine. Not quite. Voiceover. "You're not just old, Peter. You're replaceable." The image glitches. Fake. Staged. Someone wanted it sloppy. Just convincing enough to destroy me legally. Not enough to withstand federal scrutiny. A knock. Sharp. I froze. Another knock. 3 beats. I unplugged the drive, slipped it into my coat. Door creaked. Elliot Shaw. His face was older, gaunt, but those eyes, same eyes that got a judge to cry in chambers once. "You're being erased," he said again, low and precise. "We need to move. Now." "Did you see—" I started. He cut me off. "They're calling it a character assassination." Maggie signed affidavits. Emotional neglect. Psychological manipulation. A joint statement's being drafted. My heart thudded. That signature was forged. Doesn't matter if it sticks for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is all she needs. I laughed. Cold. Bitter. 30 years. And she waits until my son's wedding to finish me. Elliot glanced out the curtain. "Because you wouldn't suspect her today. Nobody suspects the smiling woman in pearls while the cake's being cut." A voice crackled over the estate's PA system. "All guests, please move to the garden. We're experiencing a kitchen emergency. Stay calm." He looked at me. "Kitchen fire?" "No smoke," I said. "It's a diversion." We pushed the door open, cut to the hallway. Staff running, heels clicking, distant voices yelling, "This way. We need to clear the floor." No flames. No heat. Just panic. And just enough chaos for someone to slip out or slip something in. We merged with the crowd. Maggie stood at the edge of the ballroom, whispering to Lydia, their faces lit by the pulsing red glow of the exit signs. She saw me, smiled. "Did you enjoy the tape, Peter?" My fingers curled. Elliot touched my elbow. "Don't react. She's baiting you. They think I'm soft." "Then stop proving them right." A waiter brushed past. A folded napkin slipped onto my plate. Quick, quiet, almost casual. I unfolded it. Just a line written in block print. "She's not your wife anymore. She never was." My breath caught. I looked up. The waiter was gone. The tray abandoned. Still spinning. "Someone's watching us," I said. "No. Someone's trying to help." We moved through the rear hallway, past the wine cellar to the terrace. Moonlight shattered across marble. "Who sent the flash drive?" I asked. "No name. Anonymous drop." Elliot said. "Could have been a former employee or someone scared. Either way, they want the truth out. Then we get it out." He paused. "There's more. A lawsuit was filed this morning, before the wedding." I stopped cold. "On what grounds?" "Coercive control. Manipulative dominance. Signed by Maggie. And your son." My throat closed. "No. He wouldn't." "He did. We need proof it wasn't him. Or that he was manipulated." My voice cracked. "They got to him." "You taught me once," Elliot said quietly. "Sometimes loyalty gets weaponized when love is gone." The chandeliers behind us flickered. Music stopped. A high-pitched beep. Fire alarm. Guests screamed. Doors flung open. The smell of sulfur in the air. Artificial. Not smoke. Distraction. Reveal. Cut to Maggie at the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. Everything is under control." Then eyes locked on me. "But if my husband is here, Peter, this is your moment." Gasps. "You've spent years playing the victim. Tonight, you get your audience." My fists clenched. She raised the NDA, held it up like a trophy. "This is what submission looks like. Signed, sealed, delivered." Cameras flashed. My name bled across every screen. That's when I stepped forward, took the mic, held it in both hands. "You made a mistake," I said. She smirked. "And what's that?" "You assumed I'd stay silent." I reached into my coat, pulled out the flash drive, held it high. Elliot stepped beside me. "Let me introduce you all," he said, "to Fallout.move." Maggie's smile cracked. "You wouldn't." "I just did." A projector was wheeled in. Someone had already cued the file. First frame, Maggie's face, crying. Second, Lydia in the background unbuttoning her blouse. Third, Maggie whispering, "We'll bury him before Monday." The room turned to ash. Guests froze. Phones dropped, but Maggie didn't scream. She didn't flinch. She just leaned in. Whispered, "Then I guess we go nuclear." Peter runs toward the smoke, not to escape, but because somewhere inside that chaos, someone is waiting to finish what Maggie started. The ballroom was on fire. Not literally, not yet, but reputations shattered. Eyes burning. The silence deafening. Maggie's face frozen mid-smile on the projector. Lydia half undressed, Her voice looped back again. "We'll bury him before Monday." Then black screen. People didn't clap. They whispered, moved their chairs back, looked at me, really looked. The man they thought they knew. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Someone dropped a glass. Maggie didn't break. She turned to Lydia. "Plan B." "Plan B," I said aloud. "You already detonated the damn bomb." "No," she said, smiling. "You just set off the wrong one." That's when I felt the room shift. A weight, like pressure behind the walls. Someone screamed. The chandelier flickered. Red lights blinked along the ceiling. Again. Another fire alarm. Another lie. But this time, people moved faster. Chairs tipped over. A server dropped a tray of oysters. One woman slipped on caviar. I turned to Elliot. "We're being flushed." He nodded. "And they're buying time." "For what?" "To vanish. Or worse, frame you." We moved toward the rear corridor, just past the grand piano. I ducked under a floral arch. My shoulder brushed against cold steel. A security camera just installed. "Someone's still watching," I muttered. They never stopped. Down the hallway. Left. Right. Every turn tighter. The building felt smaller, tension breathing down the walls. "We need to talk to the lawyer," I said. "You're looking at him," Elliot said. "Not you. Hers." We burst into the side office. 2 staffers jumped. "Where's the estate attorney?" I snapped. Blank looks. "Speak." One pointed down. "Basement level. He's in the vault." The vault? Cutscene. We reached the basement door. Locked. Elliot used a keycard. How the hell did he get a keycard? Door opened. Humidity hit like a wall. Dust. Mold. Something worse. I'd forgotten how old the estate really was. Stairs. 20 steps down. Flickering overhead lights. Smell of damp paper. Steel vault door, slightly ajar. Inside, a man in a gray 3-piece suit, sweating. Phone to his ear, pale as death. "You're Peter," he said. "And you're too late," I shot back. He handed me a folder. "I never approved this," he said, voice cracking. "They forced my hand." "Who's they?" "Maggie, Dana, and someone else." I paused. "Who?" He swallowed. "The company that manages your trust fund. They changed signatures last month." "What?" He opened the folder. The clause was there. "If Peter Gunther is found to have committed coercive emotional abuse, all assets shall default to Margaret Sinclair and her designated estate." The document was dated 5 days ago. "Your son's signature is on it," the man added. My chest collapsed inward. "No, he wouldn't." Elliot leaned in. "Peter." I shoved the folder back. "No, we raised him better. We think we raised them better, but money talks louder than parenting." A buzzer sounded above us. The projector upstairs just restarted. "What now?" I asked. Elliot checked his phone. A message. No sender, just 5 words. "Check the Cape Cod cabin." I met his eyes. "That place doesn't exist." He held up the phone. "Apparently it does now." We turned. Then, bang. The steel door slammed shut behind us. Locked. Lights out. The vault went black. Complete silence. Then a voice, distorted, through an old intercom speaker above. "Let's finish this right." I stepped forward, fists clenched. "This marriage isn't over until I say it is." The vault door clicked open. We didn't question it. We ran. No footsteps behind us, just the echo of our own. Up the staircase, into light, into noise, into a house that had already moved on. The ballroom was empty, music off, lights dimmed. The lie had cleared the room. "They'll regroup," Elliot said. "She's not done." "They never are. People like Maggie. They don't destroy. They erase." He limped, favoring his left leg. I hadn't noticed before. "You okay?" "No time." Outside, the valet circle was chaos. Limos gone. Guests scattered. Security on phones. Someone crying near the fountain. We cut through the hedge line, past the driveway. My car, gone. But Elliot's Tesla waited. Black. Low. Tinted. "Who even sent the Cape Cod message?" I asked. He glanced at me. "Wren. I still don't know who the hell that is. She's a ghost. Works contracts out of D.C. Special investigations, financial fraud. I did one case with her 6 years ago. She doesn't text unless it's bad." "Define bad." "She's the one who outed the Devonport pension ring before the suicides." I exhaled, got in the car. Night swallowed the trees as we drove. 1 mile, then 2, then 30. No music, no talking, just thoughts scraping inside my skull. How many times did I miss it? I muttered. The signs, the edits, the bank questions, the tax flags, the way Maggie always changed the subject when we talked about wills. Trust isn't blind, it's lazy, Elliot said. We confuse repetition with honesty. The further we drove, the thinner the signal got. By the time we hit the forest road, I had 0 bars. We followed gravel tracks. No streetlights, no mailboxes, just fog and trees and silence. Finally, cabin lights, warm yellow glow. Too warm. Someone's here, Elliot said. He reached into the glove box, pulled out a Glock. Legal? I asked. He didn't answer. We stepped out. The air smelled like pine and something synthetic. Acetone. 1 step, then 2. Gravel crunching. No sound from inside. Front porch, wooden door, slightly ajar. I pushed it open with 2 fingers. The living room looked lived in. Empty coffee mug, a shawl over the chair, a notepad with numbers scribbled, and a camcorder sitting perfectly centered on the coffee table. Still on. The red light blinked. I walked to it. Hit rewind. Play. Maggie's face. Not the version she wore in public. No makeup, red-eyed, sweating. She looked terrified. I didn't want it this way, she said. He wasn't supposed to fight back. In the background, Lydia pacing. She's forcing this, Maggie whispered. If I don't comply, she'll release the video of what happened with Rachel. Rachel, Maggie's younger sister, dead 20 years. A supposed overdose. Closed casket. Maggie never talked about it. My blood froze. Elliot stared at the screen. She's not in control. She's the next hostage. Another voice off camera, deep, calm. Stick to the plan, Maggie. This time he doesn't get out. Then the feed cut. Static. I stepped back. The lights flickered. Something clicked outside. Sharp. Metal. Laser. Down. Elliot shouted. Glass shattered. A shot. Another. We dropped. Screams from the woods. Footsteps running. Elliot returned fire. Twice. I crawled toward the back hallway. Go, he barked. Not without you. His hand was bleeding, shoulder grazed, breathing heavy. Bullet didn't hit bone. Move. I grabbed him, pulled him toward the back, through the kitchen, out the rear door, into darkness. Branches hit our faces. Mud soaked my knees. But we kept moving. Flashlights beamed behind us, voices shouting, not cops. Too rehearsed, too calm. One man said, target separated, recover assets, secure files. This wasn't just a hit, it was a cleanup. We crossed a creek, found the ridge, climbed, then a clearing, a shed, locked. I kicked it in. Elliot collapsed inside. I slammed the door shut, braced it with a shovel. You still think this is about a divorce? He gasped. I shook my head. This isn't marriage warfare, I said. This is full erasure. He nodded, blood trailing from his sleeve. And it started the moment you signed the prenup. She's not just trying to ruin my name. She's erasing my entire bloodline. Morning light never looked so hollow. We sat in the shed, silent. Elliot's shirt was soaked with blood, tied off with my belt. The air stank of gunpowder and damp soil. Outside, birds chirped like nothing had burned. You need a hospital, I muttered. No hospitals? No records. I nodded. Then we need intel. Cut scene. 3 hours later, we were back in Kingsbridge. Elliot's contact, an old paralegal named Dina, who owed him favors, met us at the back lot of an abandoned library. She handed over a sealed envelope. Inside, financial records. Not just mine, my son's, Maggie's. A third name I didn't expect. Dana Moretti. The wedding planner? I said. She's not a planner, Dina said. She's a professional asset cleaner. She gets hired when people want someone deleted without the mess of a body. A bitter taste crawled up my throat. Who hires someone like that? People who don't like legal endings. People who want legacy control. I skimmed the documents. There it was. Asset transfer authorization, routing inheritance, investments, properties from Peter Gunther, Trust A to Margaret Sinclair, guardian of Peter Gunther, Jr. Wait, guardian? I asked. My son's 30. That clause is only triggered, Elliot said slowly, if you're declared legally unfit, incapacitated, or abusive. I stared at him. They built the abuse narrative, I said, to activate this clause, to seize control over everything tied to the family name. It's worse, Dina said. The trust fund isn't just your savings. It holds power of appointment for future distributions, meaning whoever controls it decides who in the family gets what. Your son, his kids, all of it. Legacy murder. I clenched the folder. How do we stop it? We flipped the narrative, Elliot said, but we need proof, something they didn't anticipate. I looked at Dina. Did she submit any mental health evaluations? Yes, one from Dr. Leavitt 2 months ago. Fake. Cutscene. We drove to the clinic. It was closed, boarded up. No way they pulled a real eval from here, I said. I have access to the state database, Elliot said. He pulled up his tablet. After a few keystrokes, no record of a Peter Gunther psychological consult in the past 12 months. Fake document. Felony offense. This is our wedge. Scene shift. We met with Harold Kane, my late mother's attorney, in a dusty second-floor office off Darby Street. He was older, stiffer, and kept adjusting his glasses like he was afraid to see too much. She updated the trust a year before she passed, he said. Left a hidden clause for you. What clause? She was worried Margaret would try something if she died first. He handed over a sealed envelope. Waxed. Her initials carved in. I opened it with a shaking hand. Close 17B. If Peter Gunther is accused of criminal behavior without court conviction, a countermeasure may be activated, appointing a legal trustee to protect him from predatory family action. Signed, dated, legally binding. Who's the countermeasure? I asked. Harold smiled. Me. Scene cut. Back at Elliot's apartment, we connected the projector again. New flash drive. More data. This time from the decrypted Cape Cod footage. One frame showed Dana Moretti in a different setting, a hotel room with documents. One document labeled Somerville Estate Medical Archives. What is that? I asked. Private patient records. Why would she have those? Because your wife didn't just fake documents, Elliot said. She forged a psychiatric case file to suggest you were emotionally unstable since 2011. I swallowed hard. The last line of the report read, Subject exhibits covert narcissistic traits. Should be monitored, not suitable for inheritance leadership. That report had been emailed to 4 parties, Dana, Maggie, Lydia, and my son. Pull up his message history, I said. Elliot paused. Peter, do it. He clicked. A voicemail. From my son. Timestamp 3 days ago. Never played. I hit play. Dad, I didn't know. She said you signed off. She said it was just to protect the estate, but this feels wrong. I'm staying away until I know the truth. Please be careful. If you get this, meet me. You know where. Silence. A pause. Then, they're watching me too. I closed the laptop, and I knew where I had to go. This ends at the altar, I said. We finish it where it all began. The Grand Haven estate never looked colder. Cleanup crews were still working on the ballroom. The shattered chandelier had been replaced. The blood near the fountain had dried, but they couldn't scrub the echo out of the walls. Maggie was hosting again. She stood at the altar on the garden lawn, champagne in hand, wearing white, a mockery. Beside her, Lydia, smug. Dana nowhere in sight. Not yet. Guests clapped. Half didn't know what they were clapping for. The other half didn't care, because wealth breeds short memory. And a perfect table setting erases a scandal faster than an apology. I stepped through the arch, past the last row of chairs. My voice cut through the microphone feed before security could stop me. Let's try this again. Heads turned, because the first time I was too polite. Gasps. Cameras up. Again. Maggie stiffened. Lydia took a step back. I held up the final flash drive. This one's for the people you couldn't buy off. Click. Elliot, limping, activated the projector behind me. The screen lit up. A voice recording. Dana's. I forged the signature myself. He never saw it coming. Maggie just had to play the wife. The rest. Legal cleanup. Another cut. Dana with Maggie, weeks prior, reviewing the fake psychiatric report. I added the narcissist line. Judges hate that one. Lydia stood, face pale. One more video played. My son, looking directly into the lens. I was wrong. I let her manipulate me. But Dad, He's not who they say he is. He's better. The room was silent. I walked to the front. Maggie stepped forward, but her mask was gone. And behind her, sirens, police. Dana was dragged out from the back corridor by 2 officers, blood at her temple, fighting, screaming. "You don't understand. You think he's innocent." She locked eyes with me. "This isn't about marriage. It never was." Then they were gone. Maggie didn't speak. Not at first. She looked out at the guests, then back at me. "I just wanted to feel powerful," she said softly. "That's all." I nodded. "You could have told the truth. You would have left. I should have left years ago." Cut scene. Later I sat on the terrace. My son joined me. No words for a while, just the wind. "Everything changes," he finally said. "Not everything," I replied. "Just the things we lie about." He nodded. "I wish I hadn't signed that." "You didn't. Your digital signature was spoofed." His eyes widened. Then, "Why does it still feel like I betrayed you?" "Because guilt doesn't follow the law. It follows blood." Silence again. Then I handed him the envelope, the real will. "You're the trustee now. But remember, inheritance isn't about assets. It's about integrity. It's not what they leave you. It's what they expect you to become." He took it, slowly. Then, "What'll you do now?" I looked out at the dark, breathed, smiled. Start over. From the ashes of a life meant to erase me, I rebuilt, not with revenge, with truth. And truth has its own violence. It doesn't scream. It just stays. They tried to erase me. Now the whole world knows who I am.